This is all that. This is all that.
Welcome back to another episode of 90s Noise.
Mine is notes.
This is Ashley, born 1988.
And this is April, born 1991. And we are discussing two Nickelodeon staples from 1994 in this episode. First, we're going to touch on I guess, child's SNL.
God,
That's pretty
yeah,
much what it
yeah.
was.
That's kind of how
Uh,
I see it. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't watch SNL when I was a kid, so I had
yeah.
no recollection of what that was. But now that I'm a huge
I watched
SNL,
skits when I was a kid, like certain skits I'd
oh,
watch.
did you? Okay.
Mhm.
I don't think I ever
But
did
uh, yeah, so we're talking all that.
all that.
Yeah, so okay, kind of talking SNL. One of the original cast members of all that had been a regular in SNL once he grew up.
Oh, Keenan, he still
Yeah,
is.
is he?
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think I've actually truly watched SNL since like the early 2000s.
Oh, damn.
Is that
Okay.
sad?
Yeah. I kind of like been watching it regularly for the past couple of years. I don't know why, because honestly, it's so most of it's really bad,
Mhm.
but I do just enjoy watching it for a couple laughs and some of the relevance of pop culture. And I love Keenan and I love some of the cast that's on it. And then plus that they have good musical guests. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely not like it probably was back in the 90s, 80s, the ones we missed growing up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So, I mean, but we had all that. So,
we did have all that. Do you feel like was all that a show that you look forward to when it came out? Like was it like, oh,
yeah.
all that's on? Did you
Oh,
come
yeah.
kind of yeah.
You didn't?
I'm trying to think of if I did. Like I feel like it was definitely a show I remember watching. Like I
Mhm.
loved certain like skits and stuff in the show more so than others. And I but I feel like I definitely didn't watch like the first couple of seasons and I don't think I watched like the later seasons. I just kind of watched I think some of those in between like maybe 90 the 96, 7, 8 era, or maybe like 97, 8,
Mhm.
9 or something like that. More so when
The
like Amanda
7, 8, 9.
Bynes, yeah, 7, 8, 9, when like Amanda Bynes was involved.
Well, she was
Um,
involved from the beginning.
no, she wasn't in the first season.
Was it in the first season?
I don't know if she was in the second season either, but
I could have sworn she was from.
I thought
Hold
she was
on.
too. But then when I was looking at it, I realized, okay, so she wasn't from the start. It was kind of a different
Well,
set
it
of
had
kids.
yeah,
But a
it
lot of them were regulars from the beginning. Like I think they've pretty
yeah,
much stayed on for almost the whole length of the
at least
show.
the original run of
Yeah,
it.
for a couple of the
Okay,
original
so
ones.
she jumped in at night in 96.
Okay. That's kind of where I feel like my involvement with the show started happening because obviously like I would have been what, 8? So I feel like that's a good age to sort of get involved with that show, probably because
Hmm.
my sister was watching it. And then knowing that there was going to be musical guests involved, it kind of made you
Yeah.
want to like watch those shows, which obviously they would give you throughout the week, like a preview, like, hey, this guest is going to be
Yeah.
on all that. So you would
Mhm.
look forward to it.
Yeah, I remember some of the older skits
Hmm.
from like 94 and stuff. I don't
Okay.
think I actually saw them when
Aired.
they originally aired, but Nickelodeon was actually a decent one about doing reruns,
Yes. Hmm.
which was great.
Oh, hell yeah.
Personally, for me, I my biggest thing that I remember from all that was mostly like Keenan and Kel. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And then Lori Beth also.
Yeah.
Those were those were some of the main things that I remember from.
Yeah, I agree. I think them being able to do a couple of spin-offs from all that really
Mhm.
kept people interested in all that. And, like with Keenan and Kel, the Amanda show, like Drake and Josh, I feel like all of those kind of became like these spin-offs because they were cast members of all that at some point. And
Yeah.
I think my favorite was kind of became which is when I became like I don't want to call it obsessed, but like I was aware of Amanda Bynes and like I loved all of the stuff that she did growing up and, made sure to watch every movie that she came out
Mhm.
with, following all that and her Amanda show or not the well
Amanda,
the show the
please.
man yes the that but also her skit on all that where it was like
Mhm.
the Ask Ashley. I'm like, my name's
Ask
Ashley, and I
Ashley.
just fucking loved it. And I still like
Yeah.
going back and rewatching some of these episodes. I still just got such a kick like that skit, even though it's for young kids and stuff, it still really worked. And I have to
Mhm.
say that still is my favorite skit from all that. Like I could watch like a compilation of just that on a video.
Definitely, I definitely remember the Ask Ashley because that started with all that, and didn't it transition into the Amanda show?
It
Did
may
she still?
have.
I know that they had like Drake do something that was kind of
Mm-hmm.
similar, and it was like the
Yes.
dude, kind of, like it was
Yeah.
very,
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
and they kind of blend together for me a little bit, all that and Keenan and Kel. Good Burger was all that, wasn't it?
So I mean, I didn't watch a ton of episodes. I only watched a couple, like from a couple of seasons. And
I think Good
the
Burger
Good
was.
Burger ones that I saw, Keenan wasn't involved in them. And I was kind of disappointed because I was like, well, it was just Kel doing like
Uh-huh.
the burger
Oh,
ones.
yeah. So it was all that because like I remember like Lori Beth coming in like she because it was the cast members from all
Mm.
that were coming in as customers
Oh, okay.
on a lot of it. And
On Keenan and Kel?
no, I think Good Burgers, I think that skit of Kel started with all
With
that.
just yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it did.
And
But
And
I
like
don't
the
know if
musical
they
guests would also come in
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
too, and just be like, and that's sometimes where you saw like the first time you see the musical guest
Mm-hmm.
is doing the Good Burger
Yes.
sketch. But I don't know, I definitely, all that was enjoyable when it was on TV for me,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that we couldn't find any episodes with the actual musical guest was
Yeah.
really frustrating.
Yeah, not having the complete episode. I felt like it was a bit of a letdown. Like it kind of like that was the whole point of all that almost. Like was that musical
Yeah.
guest aspect, and then to not be able to see any of those like in any on any platform, like YouTube, Peacock or whatever it
Yeah,
was on
like you
Paramount.
couldn't even find it on
Yeah.
YouTube. I
Like it's
tried. I was
wild.
trying.
That's very wild. Like I know there's a lot of like we've talked about it plenty of times, like copyright things, but
Mhm.
it's wild that they aren't able to have access to that or have rights to it or whatever
Yeah.
to air those because it's like it's just a musical performance. And if you go back and watch like old SNL episodes, I'm pretty sure like the musical
Everything.
part is still
Yeah.
there. So like I don't
Well, I know like SNL, like I don't know about like watching a full episode. I know that most of the like SNL DVDs and stuff that come out are compilations of a certain
right.
cast members' best things. And so there aren't
Mm,
the musical guests because those aren't the full episodes, but you understand that going into it because you're
yes.
like, okay, this is just a compilation of that
Mm-hmm.
person. Yeah, because that was one of the things that I was really disappointed on because I was like, there's some different musical guests that I remember, like and TLC was a big one that was
Well, I mean, they sang the theme song, so they
yeah,
better make an appearance.
exactly. Uh then there
Spice Girls
was
was on.
Spice Girls, I believe Britney, I think I
Britney,
remember.
Backstreet
Um,
Boys.
yeah, I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Mhm.
where are these?
Yeah.
And I do have to ask, because you grew up down here,
Hmm.
did you ever tr like, well, I guess you said you really didn't watch it that much like when it was airing, but it was filmed because it was filmed here in Orlando,
I mean, as
wasn't it?
majority of I feel like Nickelodeon shows were back in then, yeah, like everything was filmed in Orlando. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I even knew or whatever that it was filming there. Like I knew like the game shows and stuff were, but I don't know that all that was that big in my childhood that I would have thought like, oh, let's go try to see a taping. But damn, how cool
Yeah.
that would that have been if I
Oh
could
my
have
gosh.
gone.
That would have been, I wanted to. Like I always wanted to go to like a taping of whether it was like a sitcom that like Full
Mm-hmm.
House or
Oh
something like that,
yeah.
or any of the ones that they used to tape down here in Orlando. And it sucks that they don't do that same kind of thing anymore. They really just, I mean, they barely even do like talk shows
I
in front of
know.
live
Yeah.
audiences anymore, which is disappointing because that's part of the whole feel for it. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
now it's just mostly laugh tracks and shit, which I just don't think has the same effect. But
Did you watch, because I know they like brought all that back recently. Did you watch any of that newer?
I watched with the one that had Jamie Lynn
Okay.
Spears in it.
Okay.
Yes,
Was
I
it any
did. I
good?
did. Do I really remember it? Not really. I remember when they were auditioning for that. They were doing national auditions
I think I remember you
for
saying there was something
yeah.
like that going around. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I want to audition and everything. It's like, but I'm
Oh
not
my
a
God.
comedian. Like
I would hate that.
no, like I'm not a comedian in that sense. Like I've never been that. I was never that kind of a kid. I like to have a quick timing or stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like
but
Amanda
like then
Bynes was so good at her
yeah,
comedic timing and just, oh, she was hilarious.
I do remember that because I remember I think it was even like Nickelodeon magazine had sent out like in one of their issues casting call
Oh,
for the new all that or something. It was one of those like teen magazines. And you had to be it was a certain ages from like 11 to 16 was the age parameter. And I think I just barely fell into that. Like,
oh,
I
you're talking
don't,
about like the one from like the early 2000s. Oh,
yeah.
I was talking about the one from like just happened like in 2020.
What?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that? They brought it back for like a season. Yeah, I was
No, I
curious if it
didn't.
was any good.
Oh no, yeah, no, I was talking about the one with Jamie Lynn
I
Spears.
forgot she did
Yeah.
that and then she went on to do that like what Zoe
Zoe 101.
show. So, okay, yeah, yeah. I think I may have
Yeah.
watched a little bit of hers, but I feel like it was at that point a little bit past my time. I don't know.
I
Like,
I watched it at that point mainly for the musical guests because the musical guests
mm,
were
you're probably
um
more of the music you were listening to.
yeah, and so I think they had Play on there.
Oh, I may have
Um
seen that one. I think I remember seeing.
yeah. And so like those guests, I think like Jesse might have been on. I'm throwing out like different artists that I would have been like,
I
oh,
gotta
I've got to
watch that
watch this.
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that was well the original first few seasons of all that. I of course loved the music because that was the
Hmm.
the 90s, but the like Jamie Lynn seasons were ones that was once I really got into music and it was my music that I
Yeah.
liked, not necessarily like, oh, my brothers liked it, so I listened to it because of them or my parents, whatever. So,
Yeah, that's true. I know. It's so hard with these shows. Like and I don't know, I didn't really read into like the new them trying to do like the newer season now, but like why it didn't work out, why they only did the one season, because I feel like it's a hard show. Like SNL is so hard to begin with adults. Like I
mhm.
don't it has to be even harder with kids trying to make something funny and relevant because kids nowadays are just they're not as interested in TV shows like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, they're really not.
which is disappointing because they missed out on a whole lot of great shit in the
Oh
90s.
yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think I was trying to think what other skits do they have? I know sketches. The Ask Ashley
There
was
was
really good.
there
The
was one with there was one with Lori Beth where she's like just sitting, like it's just her, I believe, almost like a news thing, if I remember correctly.
oh yeah, that I forgot what they called that, but she like just said a couple of things, like a couple of
It was,
random facts or something.
yeah,
That one,
and I remember that because that
vital
was
information.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I liked the also the everyday French with Keenan. That one was it was so
Oh,
stupid, but it
oh
just
yes,
worked. You know what I
yes,
mean? Like
yes, yes.
it was just hilarious because just in a bathtub, like saying
Yeah,
random shit that's not like I don't know, but
yeah. It was fun while it lasted, but honestly, I just I don't know. I
it
don't think it
didn't.
really stands the test of time, honestly.
No, I agree because it was hard getting through some of those episodes. Like it was very cringy, a lot of those skits.
Hmm.
Like I said, I was okay with just the Amanda Bynes parts and probably like Keenan and Kel, but I don't know. And I think that's kind of how I was when I watched the show. I would like make sure to tune in like when Amanda Bynes came on, and then
Hmm.
I would like go do something else or just be like, okay, I'm
Hmm.
done with the show or something like that. But because a lot of it was kind of unfamiliar to me, and I think it's just because I wasn't really paying attention because it didn't hold my attention. So I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, if it's not Amanda, then I don't really care. And if it's
yeah,
not like a good guest, I could care less.
yeah. I just always liked like we were talking about, like the musical guest portion where like studio audience was involved in that usually. Like they kind of were right there and everything. And it was, I don't know. I just,
I know. I really wish that they would have had a couple of them to see because I don't know. I just wanted to kind of get a feeling of the vibe of like when they were
mhm,
performing and like, was it live? I don't remember, or what, you know what I mean? Were they lip syncing? But it just, I just wanted to
yeah.
see all of it as a whole and not like cut
Mhm.
off.
Yeah. So if anybody knows where we can find like a
Besides a
full
DVD.
intact episode of all that from the 90s or from the mid to late 90s, please let us know. So that way we can go back and really reminisce on how it was done. Uh, but yeah,
Yes, please.
honestly, I mean, for me, that's kind of all that I gotta say about
Yeah,
all that.
that's all I got too. I mean, I know it had a huge following and I know people still love and talk about it.
Mhm.
And I'm sure like if they had a convention with some of these cast members, they would
Well,
get a huge line. You know what I mean?
90s con
Did they do that?
is
Or they
first year or second year. I can't remember if it was the first or second year. They had some of the cast. They
I
had
thought I
Lori,
remembered
they
seeing that.
had they had
Was Danny
Cal,
there?
they had Danny.
Oh yeah, Kel was there.
Um
You're not gonna get
and
Amanda or Keenan, I don't think, but
I think Amanda was supposed to be there, but she was sick. Keenan showed up.
oh, Keenan was there.
Yeah,
Oh
he showed up
damn.
and
Oh, I would love to meet him. He seems so cool.
he I don't know if he I don't think he actually like had a table. It was kind of more of a surprise. Um
Oh.
he came out during the panel
Hmm.
and then he was there for the photo op. So
Oh,
if you
that's
had gotten a
cool.
group photo op, he was included at no additional charge.
Hmm.
But yeah, because I think it was they originally were gonna have Amanda, but she was sick. Um,
I just find that hard to believe
and
that she even signed, like, agreed to that because, like, she's just been not
yeah,
really
I
involved
remember.
with entertainment business. So,
Yeah,
huh.
because I remember seeing that I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then and it was like it was one of those where it was kind of like, oh, they posted about it and then pretty quickly off. Like it was I think it was like a right before kind of post. And then there was like, oh, sorry guys, she's not going to be able to make it. I'm just trying to see
Hmm.
if which year it was. If it was,
Yeah, she probably would have had a huge line. Like,
yeah, I think it might have been the first year. So I didn't see anything just going back real quick on the from 2023's.
no, it says that the newest season they stopped production due to COVID. So I'm
Uh,
guessing they never were able to get back together after COVID. You know, it just kind of died out.
it was 22's. It was 2022's
Okay.
where they where Cal, Danny, and Lori Beth. were all there. But
I feel like I remember like they did the I'm just reading here. I remember they did like all that live show for like their 100th episode, and they had like a lot of guests like Melissa Joan
hmm,
Hart and Britney Spears had like a taped video appearance supposedly, and I feel like I kind of remember maybe that. And I also remember like their Kids' Choice Award when they were all there. Like, Kids' Choice Awards were such a huge thing. Like I loved watching the Kids' Choice Award and people getting slimed and shit. Like, oh, that was that
hmm,
was that was like the only award show like worth watching.
yeah. Again, that was one of those like, how the hell do you get to it? Like, how the hell do you get to be like in on that?
This is all. I have to say,
Oh,
the theme song was pretty catchy though. Like I did like
oh yeah, yeah. The
so.
theme song was definitely catchy.
And the theme song for Alex Mack, I thought was a bit catchy too. Like it was very, I didn't have words, but it was, I don't know, it just
It
fit well
was,
with the show. You know what I mean? Like, it had like the
yeah,
vibe of the show. I thought it worked really well for that. But
yeah.
Secret World of Alex Mack.
Secret World of Alex Mack.
I heard this was a show you watched a lot. Do you like this show?
I I enjoyed this show. Yeah, I really did. It was a I thought it was a good show, a good fun little show, interesting show. I always I mean I loved Sabrina. I loved all of those shows that had like some sort of sci-fi
Hmm.
supernatural-esque type background, and Alex Mack has that.
Yeah.
And love the actress who plays Alex. Have loved her and her as she grew into an adult actress and everything. I mean, come on, 10 Things I Hate About You. Hello.
Yeah, I think that's the most iconic role that she's
Yeah,
done.
I enjoyed this show. And
But
I
was it a
liked it.
show you watched more on reruns, you think? Because I feel like 94 would have been a little
I think
young.
probably the following year is when I started, like 95.
Hmm.
But I do believe this was also one that my brothers watched because it wasn't just kind of like Clarissa kind of had a little more of a
It was like a
male
tomboy.
aspect.
It
Yeah,
almost was
she
like
was
a
a
tomboy.
tomboy.
Yeah. So it fit well if you
And
watched it as a boy guy. Like it didn't feel weird. Like I feel like
yeah,
it, or I mean, I'm not, I can't, I don't know. I'm not a guy. I just mean like I don't think it would feel weird.
yeah. And so that's I believe if I remember correctly, my middle brother, this was one of his shows that he really enjoyed. And so I probably did watch it the first season during that time, but just too young to truly
Yeah.
remember it. But I enjoyed it. Like even watching a few of the episodes, I was like, okay, I kind of remember this.
Okay.
Like
Did
it's
you?
like it like was unlocking like memory back in my brain and everything.
Yeah, see, I was trying to do that as well, trying to watch some of it and see if it would spark a memory because I don't think this is a show that I grew up watching, but it's one of those shows where like you know the premise, you know
Mhm.
who's in it, you know kind of like what's going on, you know all the kookiness. So it's weird because like I can't really recall ever watching it, but I must have like probably it's definitely a show my sister would have loved watching. It just kind of has that same like aspect, like you said, Clarissa. It's like it just fit with her vibe. So I feel like I
Mhm.
would have watched it in the background or whatever. Um, but yeah, it just nothing was really familiar to me besides like I said, some characters and kind of understanding like, okay, she's got like a superpower type deal. Like I know she's gonna dissolve
Yeah.
into a puddle of whatever here and sneak out of this situation. Like I got all of
Yeah.
that, but no, it was very interesting, like watching it almost for the first time, I guess, because I could kind of get a different view on like I know people love the show. Like I know people
Yeah.
just they are just huge fans of the show. And it is cool. Like I don't think anything like this has ever been done before. Like it's like a show you can't really do. nowadays I don't feel like it would work. I don't know. Like I just felt like it worked so well for the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it would be something that would work very well now, but which is weird because like you would think with everybody being more inclusive and everything.
Mm.
I don't know, like it's also one of those things where even though it you could tell some of the effects are super cheesy and everything,
Hmm.
it just fits.
Yeah, it fits with the whole vibe.
And
Like it's low budge.
yeah, it's enjoyable and it's again kind of going back to that tomboy aspect which I zoned in on and everything,
Hmm.
especially because I was very tomboy.
Hmm.
And but like she was wearing skirts and yet still was being all tomboy. Like it wasn't just oh she's just pure tomboy, just being in
Right.
pants and shorts and stuff. Like she was still being girly, but yet with the tomboy aspect, always wearing the backwards cap and I just oh I they don't make shows like they used to in that sense, where,
No, they don't. Especially because, like we've talked about many times before, the 90s was very boy-girl divided. So to have a show
yeah,
like Alex Mack where the lead actress is a female, but she's not really portraying like that typical female persona, I think that was
hmm
really like breath of fresh air for so many kids growing up, like, oh, I can do that too. Like, oh, cool. Like that's me. Like, and I think that that really is so different and like yeah, it just can't be done today. Like I
no,
just
it really
don't.
can't. It can't, and it sucks because it really, I don't know. It's one of those things where you just kind of you can't put your finger on it.
Hmm.
What about this truly resonated?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe the fact that I mean, still had the family aspect and like what kid wasn't keeping a secret from their parents growing up?
Hmm. Yeah, she was doing a lot of things that kids of that age would have been doing, like sneaking out after she was
Yeah.
grounded and like just wanting to like go hang out with her friends or like do this or do that. And like
Mhm.
I felt like it was very relatable on a lot of levels. And it's kind of funny because like I don't remember much, but one thing that I thought going in is that I didn't like the sister. Like I felt like I remember like, oh, the sister, no, we don't like her. But
Mhm.
then rewatching it, I'm like, the sister is actually really cool. Like I think she is someone that has a lot more to say and like was actually a very important part of the whole show. And people kind of forget about how beneficial like her character was to the whole thing. I don't know. Like it just to me, I was like, oh, I like the sister a little bit more than I like Alex. Like Alex is a little bit like annoying me at times, but the sister was like she
Yeah.
was a voice of reason and was like making sense. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
well, why don't you listen to your damn sister? But no one ever does.
Okay, so you're somebody who has a sister. Did you see any parallels between you and your own sister
Oh,
in
hell yeah. Oh yeah. Like I mean, and that's kind of I think what was cool about it. I mean, I felt like they were I don't know how old they were, but they were definitely closer in age, like teenager wise, right? Like they
Mhm.
were both kind of like on that
Yeah,
teenage
which
almost.
which was a little confusing to me honestly because like so the journal episode Alex is in school like her school's already started but her sister's hasn't.
Yeah, the timelines
Our
were
school
yeah, a little weird.
districts always were started on the same day. Like it didn't matter if you were in first grade, seventh grade,
No.
10th grade, y'all started on the same day. So I wonder if like I just don't remember because like she's starting to drive in that episode. And
Hmm.
so she was obviously like only 16 or so. But being in high school, wouldn't you start the same day? Or
Right.
was it because she was so smart? Because wasn't she
She
like
was pretty
practically a
smart.
genius or
Yeah.
something? So maybe she was in college, like maybe she had
Yeah,
skipped a
maybe
few
taking,
grades or
yeah.
something.
Or in like a
I don't know.
special school where they had different
Yeah,
hours. I don't know. Yeah.
maybe.
But I mean, that part wasn't super relatable because like by the time I became a teenager, my sister had already moved out and gone to college. So I don't really have what they had. Like I didn't get to experience like that side of it. So we didn't really talk about those types of things. But I know we argued. Like I know like there was a lot of that, riff rap back and forth. And I'm not going to listen to my sister. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And oh, let me blame her for something and, whatever. But plus they shared rooms. So like that would have been that's a whole other thing that I didn't have to like deal with
You
because
guys never did?
that, no, because that would have definitely probably caused a lot more shit if we did, let me tell you. So we did not.
Okay. Yeah, so like talking about them sharing a room. What kind of setup was that? At least
I
like the
don't
journal
know.
episode, their heads were practically like right together.
Yes. Yeah. The way
Like
that their beds were, I don't know.
anytime I think of sharing a room, it's one person has one side, the other person has the other. Like beds are as far away as
Or
possible.
like
Or
I
like
think
bunk
of,
beds or
yeah, bunk
something.
beds. Like in Two of a Kind, where it's like Ashley's on one wall, Mary Kate's on like so like that.
Yeah, but
Not like
like
that,
not
but they're not like
but like not like literally like you
yeah.
could slap somebody with a when you're having a nightmare type of
Yeah.
deal.
No, that wouldn't have
Like
worked at all. Like I need space. We're sharing a room as it
yeah,
is. I need space.
exactly. Like goodness gracious. Oh man. The episodes. So I watched your episode of videotape, right? That was your episode, or was that my episode? I don't even remember.
Honestly, I don't even know what I watched. I just watched the first couple of episodes and then
Uh,
I don't know. But I don't even feel like they were in order, like
really?
looking at this thing on here on like the episode guide. Like I don't remember watching like something about Halloween. Like there's like the
Hmm.
fourth episode is something about Halloween and I'm like, that was not the fourth episode on
I
there.
got that far, and that wasn't a part of
That's what I'm saying.
that.
That one was not one that I watched. So I don't know. The order was a little strange. Um, so you watched it.
I I watched I watched the two episodes that we had talked about, the videotape and the journal,
Okay.
which were it was it like I said, it was interesting to go back and like some of it was kind of like popping back into my mind and
Hmm.
everything, especially the journal episode.
Yeah.
Maybe also because that was season two,
It's like
and
the
so
first
it was
episode. Yeah.
and that like the fact that like she was writing in her journal and that kind of I think had part of I mean there's so many different shows that included the main character like journaling.
That
That
was
was
a
a
big
big
thing.
thing.
It was like, I mean, I remember having a ton of different like journal
Oh my
diaries
gosh.
things. I love that
Oh
shit.
my
Like I
gosh.
was so adamant about getting one of these things. But my problem is that I only wrote in it for like a couple months or whatever, and then I'd
Mm,
stop. And then I'd get a new one the
yeah.
next year, and they'd be like, oh, couple entries. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
so good about this. And like today, and
And
then
then you
like
just
I'm
you're
like,
just like,
oh my
oh crap.
God. Why couldn't I
Yeah.
continue? Because it would have been so cool to like, go back
Oh
at
my
our age
gosh.
now and like read what we were doing. Like, how cool would that have
Uh,
fucking been? I'm so disappointed in myself.
I I'm curious. I don't even know if I think I like threw some of mine away. Like
Oh
there, I think
no.
I'd gone through a phase where I like went through and like ripped out the
Yeah,
pages because it's like, I don't want
same.
anyone seeing this and
I
everything.
know.
Some of mine were kind of dark and everything, just with different time areas and
Yeah.
everything. Like,
But it's so good to
um,
journal, and I'm sure that was really cathartic for you, like being able to do that at that time, like write it down, like whatever if we ripped it out and threw it away. But I feel like sometimes like writing down like what we're feeling because it's not something we can really express to others, I think it
mhm,
helps so much.
yeah. But I just remember like because she had like kind of for her top secret journal was like the notebook that almost it looked kind of similar to the notebook that is used in Harriet the Spy.
Oh.
And then but her personal journal at the
Mhm.
end is like the cute little girl journal
Yes.
and everything. I'm like I remember, I think trying to find one similar to that after having seen the episode,
Oh, really?
like the girl one
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and everything. Because it was so cute. It was like compact and everything.
I wonder if they ever sold one. Like that would have been great marketing if they had like a
Yeah,
Alex Mack notebook. Like, like that. I don't remember shopping back then, but that would have been.
that would have been.
I think another thing on some of the episodes that I watched, the the friends that they had, like some of the friends, they just
Hmm.
seemed honestly, some of them seemed like dicks. Like they just like it was a weird friend group. I'm like, wait a second, aren't you guys friends?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, yeah. It's like all this petty shit, and it's like, why are we why are we doing this? I was like, I can't stand your friends, Alex. Like, you need better friends. This is
Hmm.
ridiculous.
Yeah, some of them were is like, okay, interesting.
Right?
Um, but then I did like that they did keep the best friend and obviously the sister. Um, that was like the main trio.
Right. Hmm.
And what was it? The videotape episode where they're like it's career day and all the
Hmm.
kids go to the plant and each of them's assigned a different section or whatever. And there's the one girl who's like, I think it's in the HR or something, where she's like questioning everything. And then she's like, well, just one little spill and all this kind of stuff. And then there's a spill in the lab, which is soda. And they're like, we've got to test this. And they're like all decked out how
Hmm.
in like practically like hazmat suits and stuff. And it's like, it's freaking soda.
Take it down a notch.
Like, oh my goodness. Like some of those extremes that they took the show to was entertaining. And like the one girl being like a security person
Hmm.
and like going through like knowing that book like inside and out. I mean, I'm sure you knew some kids that were like that when they were given something and they just had to overachieve.
Yes, exactly. They took it way too far. It's like, okay, like this is not your real job. Like this is just
Yeah.
what you to go do. What what did you think though about her ability to transform into that puddle? Like, was that something, like, you know what I mean? Like, and you're growing up as a kid, you're like, oh, that'd be so cool. Like, oh, I wish I could do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, did you feel that way? Like, did you want to do that?
A puddle? No.
I can't even imagine like a puddle. Like,
I
ooh.
liked the idea of like being able to get away and
Hmm.
everything. In kind of a nondescript
Being almost invisible, like in
form.
some,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
But no, not a puddle. I liked her little zapping abilities better, the
Yeah, that's true.
telekinesis.
Hmm.
I've always been a fan in a sense of like the telekinetic
Oh, yeah.
powers.
Hmm.
That's always one that's like, oh, if I could have powers, that's probably what I'd want. And I just feel that'd be like,
That's
oh,
that's kind of like
my drink's too far away. Come bring it to me. Like just waving your hands or something. And I
that's
mean,
kind of like a
Bruce
pre
powers were always my,
that's what I'm saying. It was like pre-charmed. Like
yeah.
that was like the ultimate power that oh,
Hmm.
amazing.
Hmm.
The one thing that and maybe this is like why I remember Alex Mack a bit is that do you remember those Capri Sun commercials that
Yes,
included
yes.
the whole that
Hmm.
those were so big. Like I
Oh
just
yeah.
remember those all the time, and whether I don't know if it was during watching that show or just anything, and maybe that kind of piqued my interest of like, what is this? Like, why, what is this that they're
Yeah.
referring to? I don't know, but I just remember those commercials.
Oh yeah. I remember those. Oh, I still sometimes drink Capri Suns
I
if
know.
I'm in the mood.
Yeah.
Like it was always one
Oh,
of those like is this really gonna do it to me? Do that to me?
Right? Oh my God.
You're
I'm
like,
sure we
wait, do
thought that as
I?
kids.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you know how the
That's
show
great.
ended? Like, because I don't think I ever watched like the conclusion of the show. Like, did she lose her powers? Does she still have them? Do people know? Like, I'm very curious, and I
I
wish I could have
don't
watched
remember.
the finale.
Let me let me find like the synopsis for that last episode.
It's like one of
Because
those
I
shows where you like it's there's all that build up throughout the whole series where they're
oh
like, keep it a
yeah.
secret, don't let them know, but like
I mean
I'm
it
gonna
was
tell a couple
it
people and
yeah, I mean it was a 4 season
mm-hmm,
series. So oh, we may have to go back and watch it. So Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained are
mm-hmm.
names of the last two episodes. So, well, synopsis for Paradise Lost, season 4, episode 19. Danielle Atron finally catches Alex, and her plan is more sinister than anyone could imagine. And then for Paradise Regained, season 4, episode 20, Alex, her parents, and Ray attempt to escape the chemical plant while Danielle and Lars set up a deadly plan of evasion. Meanwhile, a regretful Lewis tries to convince Robin that Alex is in trouble and needs their help.
So does she finally tell her parents? Like, do her parents know? I wonder.
It seems that way
I guess, I
because her,
mean, I guess there really wouldn't be a way for her to like get rid of her powers. I guess she would always have them. I don't
yeah, it
know.
would just necessarily be a manner of like how much she uses them.
Right. And do they develop more?
Yeah,
Like, because I know there was that the whole plant thing. Like, I know that was a big plot throughout the whole
yeah,
series of like, they evil? Like, what were they doing? And like all of that. So there definitely seems to be more.
yeah. But I mean, it's definitely one, like I said, I still enjoy it even to this day.
Yeah, I'd be interested in like kind of trying to go through the whole series and
Mhm.
and kind of doing that. I feel like it's more so of a show I would enjoy having on in the background and watching over all of that. I feel, I don't know,
Oh
like I
yeah,
just because all
definitely.
that just gets repetitive to where like,
Hmm.
so I think
It's lit yeah, all that literally is like the after like half a season they redo the skits, just different people like
yeah.
that
I
they're
mean,
playing against or
that's kind
something
of
like
how
that.
SNL is, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of creativity going on in the show,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm surprised they haven't been able to get her to do like conventions because I feel like she had a big career through the 90s, like with 10 Things. She was in the Babysitter's Club movie.
Hmm.
I'm not sure what else she's been up to lately, but I feel like was she in something recently or like
So
she retired?
she's in this like little TV series called Aaron and Aaron.
Mm.
Uh, I don't, it's a Nickelodeon, so she's back with Nickelodeon, doing stuff with
Oh,
Nickelodeon.
that's cool. Wonder if is it a real show, like a live action show or
Yeah,
animated?
it's a live action.
Okay.
And
Oh, she was in I forgot she was in Pretty Little Liars.
yeah,
I remember
she's
I was like, "Oh, it's
yeah.
her."
Oh yeah. Yeah, I didn't really care for her episode for or her character in Pretty Little Liars. It's like eh.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pretty Little Liars, I did like seeing her come back in that.
Yeah, she's done some like Broadway stuff.
She's in some episodes of Boy Meets World.
Yeah, I don't know if I remember her on that. Dana,
I it was
maybe.
earlier on.
Yeah, it was before it was when they were still probably in high school.
Yeah. I mean, definitely nothing's gonna beat 10 things.
I know, I just had that on the other day, honestly. Like it's just so Oh, she's in The Swan Princess, which might be on our list of topics for 94.
Huh? Oh, wait, what? What you
Huh?
talking about, Willis?
You don't see that at the top? The Swan Princess.
I'm looking through on IMDb and I'm not seeing. What
What?
does it say it was in Swan Princess?
Preteen Odette. No, she did like
Mm,
I guess, oh no, that's a sing-along. Same thing. It's not on her IMDb. That's weird.
Mm-mm. Like the actual Swan Princess movie?
Let me see. Yeah,
What year?
94.
Uh-uh.
That is so sh what about soundtrack? Oh, see, if you go to the soundtrack, maybe she's only like the singing voice of, well, I mean, because yeah, Swan Princess is mostly like a musical, so I guess
Is she the singing voice of young
I don't know. It says
Odette?
performer of one song, so maybe she just had had one song.
So I was gonna say, like, looking at IMDb, like, there's,
Yeah, it's
because
not
what I,
listed as like an acting role, no, or a voice role.
yeah,
It's literally just on the soundtrack for
okay, so
one song.
that's
Okay,
that's
so
why.
that's why,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I was like, wait a second, hold
Hold
on.
on.
That
She was
I'm
on an
gonna have.
episode of All That too. There you go.
Mhm.
I didn't watch that one, but
She's, I mean, she's still going, which is nice to see, to be able to see people that we grew up with
yeah, because I'm
still
sure it's
going.
hard, like as a preteen and stuff like that, kind of growing up in the industry, and a lot of them burn out and stuff, and so it
Hmm.
seems like she took kind of like a break or like did some other smaller things, and then is now I feel like coming back and trying to be, she's had more years under her belt, and she now is. Because they're also like, what's her name? Now I can't think of her name from My Girl. She took a pretty long break, but
Hmm.
she's been back in the industry now the past 10 years because she's like, she said she needed that break. Like she said it was just
Oh
so
yeah.
toxic and everything, like growing up through it as a kid. And now she has a better appreciation for it and stuff. So I feel like that just happens.
Yeah, that happens a lot for different people. And honestly, I think that's probably better for people because
Hmm.
if this is all you know as a child, you how are you going to like honestly survive in the world, in the real world, like not the
Hmm.
entertainment industry if things go south?
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many child actors aren't able to necessarily transition because they also just don't know necessarily like everything maybe in their mind is still sets and not necessarily real, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic for another day.
Yeah. I mean, our girls, Mary Kate and Ashley, they crashed and burned at what, 18? They were done. So,
Well, that was mainly because they finally had the choice. They could choose.
right, yeah. And they
And
chose right. They chose correctly
yeah.
because and
I mean, because
I
Mary Kate,
don't ever see them as being the child actors that take the break and then come back. Like they're done. Like they're not
no,
coming back. You know
no,
what I'm saying? Like
no.
it's
I
a little
mean,
different, but
yeah, like Mary Kate did do a few things
right.
later on. Like she went ahead and did some of her own stuff, acting wise and everything. But no, I think, and they've found their niche
Hmm.
in fashion, and
And
that's something
that's
that's always been a passion of theirs.
yeah.
And so good for them. I mean, people who are able to get out of the industry that weren't, it necessarily wasn't even their choice to get into it to begin
Hmm.
with.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, like especially child actors of the 80s and 90s. Most of those didn't necessarily have a say, not necessarily like
Hmm.
kind of how so many people want to be
Yeah.
like now, like they're pushing to be. But like back then it was a lot of times their parents were the ones that initiated it, forced it before they even had a say.
Hmm.
Like Mary Kay and Ashley, for example, they were freaking 9 months old.
Yeah.
They didn't have a say. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you have to love it because like, I watch some of these shows and movies and you have like the really old actors and stuff, and you have like people like Morgan Freeman and Samuel L. Jackson, and they're still like they're old. Like, so props to
mhm.
them for still wanting to do this because I'm
Yeah,
sure they have a ton of money, enough money to survive, but they are still passionate enough to want to go into these projects and still be a part of it. But like they don't have to. Like I'm sure they don't need
yeah,
to. So it always like boggles my mind when I see people like that where it's like, okay, you have got to be like a multimillionaire by now. Like, what are you doing still acting? Just
yeah,
retire, enjoy your life. But they love it. I mean, I'm assuming they love
yeah,
it. So then that's great, but
yeah.
that's not for everyone.
No, it's not for everyone. And it's unfortunate that some people do get forced into it when it's not what they truly want to do. I mean, like, okay, Natalie Portman took years off,
Yeah.
go to school. There's a handful of people that did that, like
Mm-hmm.
to try to have some normalcy and pursue other things and have other things that they could fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
The girl from Blossom. Blossom.
Oh, yes. Oh my God, she's a genius.
She's
She is.
she's what, a freaking engineer or something?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, like her character on The Big Bang Theory is
It's basically her.
what,
Yeah.
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 And so, I mean, different things like that where it's just like they actually get to go have a life and have something to fall back on
Mm-hmm.
in case the industry falls.
Yeah, and I mean, like as we saw with the strike, I mean, you just really don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
so many people could just get left stranded, and I have
Hmm.
so much more, appreciation for those actors that do have a background, they have like an education, and they're not just like, oh, I didn't even graduate high school, like so many of them have,
Yeah.
and so like the people that actually take the extra steps to continue acting, but also go to school, like that's that's amazing. Like that's
Yeah.
it's not as I've heard of that as it should be. Like I really
Hmm.
feel like these people should still be getting a solid education, like because it's not always guaranteed. And like all of
No, it's
these
not.
fucking influencers and TikTokers, it's like just you're ruining society.
Oh my gosh. Well, like, not just that, but like schools these days aren't even like it's not the same education that you and I grew up with,
Oh
even.
my God, I can't imagine. I
I mean,
cannot.
have you have you seen like literally teachers are quitting in droves because they're being beaten on
Mm,
in schools. Like these students
yeah,
are, it's like, where the fuck is society going with this?
yeah. It's it seems honestly, it seems terrifying to go to school nowadays. Like I would be terrified.
I would be
I think your parents would finally agree to homeschooling if you were like, you
probably,
know what I mean?
it's like, yeah, like that. Cause then you could like focus more and everything. And it's like, I just, it makes me very, very worried about where the world is going
Oh
to.
my God. Ugh. No.
No. Anyways,
Anyways, we can still keep living in the 90s and where it
yeah,
is all nice and cozy for us.
nice and cozy.
Not
That's
the
for
real
damn
world.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Have a little bit of an escape, at least while we still can.
hmm Well,
That's,
I think that's what I mean. We got to say the saying because I mean it just fits with this episode. That's all that in a bag of
chips.
chips.
Yep.
Oh,
All righty. Until next time.
bye.